Some pictures there showing you what people are up to this Easter. Bags packed, luggages ready. Many people have started making trips to their hometowns or other places of interest as they seek to catch up with friends and family. It really is the big day for family reunion, especially those who've been separated by work or other circumstances. Always a moment of joy for many. Well, these trips, however, end up as the final journey home for some of these Easter travelers. It is traditionally the period where many vehicles are involved in accidents, killing many and injuring others. Today we take a look at Easter and its link to road safety. Many activities are happening around this subject today as people begin their journeys. Well, the multimedia group, in partnership with Guinness Ghana Breweries Limited and the National Road Safety Commission, have launched a campaign to help reduce road accidents. NDC candidate John Mahama is also out talking to drivers to be safe on the road. And we also have a conversation here. We'll be joined in the studio by a road safety advocate who happens to be a reverend minister as well, so he can help us understand if there are some spiritual perspectives to this when it comes to Easter. Also with us is an official of the National Road Safety Commission. Well, let's start with this harrowing story of the Tema motorway bridge where some military officers perished during the recent rains. MFA Etiamo Eli has our first report.
For time immemorial, users of the Ashaiman Lashibi tunnel maneuvered dangerous potholes to use the narrow tunnel originally built to enable cattle herds cross over to either sides of the motorway without obstructing traffic. Over time, the facility has outgrown its purpose and expanded to serve humans as well. This is largely due to lack of an alternative route for commuters traveling between Lashibi and Ashaiman. According to the Ashaiman Municipal Assembly, at least 500 vehicles use the tunnel on a daily basis. On a good day, commuters, depending on which end of the tunnel they are traveling from or to, would spend at least 10 minutes waiting for traffic on the opposite side to clear before they cross. The situation for many can be stressing and frustrating.
The road is bad. Authorities responsible must do something about it. The entire gutter is choked. The motorway and the underbridge must be fixed. We suffer when it rains.
To avoid the delay and its associated discomforts, some commuters have resorted to endangering their lives on the motorway. Men and women are seen racing against speeding vehicles just to get to their destinations. Children are held tightly by their parents to enable them smartly run across. Even babies are clenched to their chests and sometimes strapped to the back of their parents and are used to cross the 100 km/h speed limit motorway.
I live at Ajekojo. Anytime I'm going to Teshinungwa, I run across the motorway. The underbridge is terrible, particularly when it rains. I'll be delayed if I go through it.
Commercial drivers are fast cashing in on the situation. At the Klago end of the tunnel, a mini taxi rank is springing up. Persons heading towards Lashibi, Sakumono and Nungwa are their potential passengers. Instead of wasting time in traffic to go through the tunnel, These commuters run across the motorway and board these taxis. Yakubu, Jonathan, and Saviola are drivers at these illegal pickup points.
And at the same time,
it's impossible to drive small vehicles through the tunnel anytime it rains, not even the minibuses. We are used to loading those heading towards Nungwa, and mostly they'll just cross over the motorway, which is faster. We suffer using the underbridge a lot, particularly when it rains. The entire vehicle will break down due to the poor state of the road and the tunnel. Running across the motorway is dangerous. Even though there's an access down there, it becomes inaccessible and no one wants to waste time using the facility.
The situation is not different at the Ajekojo side of the tunnel. A full-fledged minibus station is becoming very attractive for those traveling towards Ajekojo, Zainu, Atadeka and Katamanso. During rush hours, it is the preferred bus stop for passengers returning from Accra Central. Alice, a vehicle knocks down one person while walking or running across this point of the motorway every week. Abeku and Victoria are witnesses.
When they pay the bill, I remember, if you say, you know, about school, but the motor to become one, the motor of Pampé one, or motor is stored on a car.
That be asked and see what was of bridging into. That didn't see what I had.
The alternative is the rough stretch running through the tunnel. On a rainy day, drivers must get their act right to maneuver through the mud and debris deposited, mostly at the entrance and beneath the tunnel. It gets chaotic sometimes, and your guess is as good as mine. The municipal roads engineer, Joseph Commodore, said the assembly is awaiting the approval of a proposal from the Urban Roads Department to fix the road.
We've done a sealing works, bituminous surfacing to a certain stretch. What remains is approaches from the Klagon to the bridge is about 200 meters, and to the other end to the Ajekojo is 100 meters. So the remaining 300 meters is the outstanding works to be done.
But for how long would this be? The Ashaiman municipal engineer Daniel Ifrifa, said there's a short-term plan to make the stretch motorable.
It's a concern to our big men, and they've asked us to submit report regarding it. It means very soon something will be done on it.
Okay. Specifically regarding the tunnel, what is the nature of construction to ease the congestion here?
We are going to dualize it. It is going to be a dual carriage whereby one will be in, one will be out. But currently it is going to be like this until the construction is done.
Till that time when work begins, commuters might have to endure this terrible stretch a bit longer, while many others continue to risk their lives in an attempt to cross the motorway. My name is Amafa Ewenam Atiamwa Eli, reporting for JoyNews.
MFA filed that report. In the course of time, we'll bring you update on former President John Mahama's tour to transport stations. He calls it Easter Walkabout. Right now, though, let me introduce you to my guest in the studio so we can have a quick discussion on this. Like you know, since the whole of this week, we've been talking to you about road safety. I have Reverend Cyril Crab. He's a road safety advocate who is also president of the Accident Victim Support Ghana. Mr. Crab, you're welcome.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Also here in the studio is Victor Kojo-Bilson. Victor is a programs officer at the National Road Safety Commission. And if you've noticed, the whole of this week we've been with the National Road Safety Commission. Mr. Bilson, you're welcome as well.
Thank you.
I want to start with you, Mr. Bilson, as we do all the time, and ask you to comment on the story that we've just seen from the Tema motorway. What specific interventions? I mean, we've just heard recently that National Road Safety Commission has had quite an amount. What specific interventions do you think the National Road Safety Commission can put in on this particular road?
Okay, once again, thank you, and good afternoon to our viewers. Mostly the issue pertaining to pedestrian safety has been downplayed a lot because people only have a lot to say when it comes to when we hear a crash involving about 50 people losing their lives or 25. That is when people will start questioning what is the National Road Safety doing, and a lot of questions will be thrown at us. But we tend to forget that when it comes to road traffic fatalities, the pedestrian issue is number one consistently, followed by the issue of motorcycles, before it comes to that of bus and minibuses. So the pedestrian issue is something that needs a lot of conversation about, but
it's actually, I think more what we need is action to just deal with it rather than the conversation, don't you think?
I
mean, the conversation is important, which is why we're talking here today.
Yes, sure. So you see what happened on the Adenta-Medina highway. It's the same conversation that drew the attention of those in charge to come in with the supposed corrective measures, to come in with the footbridges to aid in crossing. Because if we have people encroaching on buffers on the motorway, we heard someone clearly say that it is not fit to be called a motorway. Fine, we have people coming up with ideas. People are suggesting to government to change it from a motorway to a normal urban road.
Right.
But we cannot downgrade the essence of the motorway to that just because people are encroaching.
But why can't we change it? They're saying that if you do, well, the idea of the motorway, and I was born in Tema, I grew up in Tema, so I'm very familiar with the motorway. There was a time when you're traveling on the motorway and everything you see is bush on your left, bush on your right. Right now, we're seeing buildings, we're seeing companies, we're seeing women, children, we're seeing human beings crossing the road. So times have changed, obviously. Why can't we just, the Bureau of Public Safety is making that suggestion to government that we downgrade it. Why can't we do it?
The reason why we cannot just downgrade it from a motorway to a normal, not even a highway, like an urban road with speed calming measures and traffic lights and footpaths and stuff like that, is this is a motorway, and those squatters along the motorway are illegally occupying those spaces.
Easier said than done.
Easier said than done, yes. But this is where we have to place responsibilities at the doorsteps of those who are supposed to, because road safety, we can come in and tell you the corrective measures that can be put in place, but we are not into civil works, so we cannot implement anything as it stands now. We can only advise. That is why recently there have been conversations about us seeking to upgrade from a commission into an authority where we can actually enforce those who are supposed to be doing some of these things to come in with the correct measures. These things have to be done. We do not have to take it like, okay, it happens once a while. These things have been happening day in, day out, but their stories have not been told yet. Pedestrian knockdowns, people crossing the road, still number one. About 47% of the figures are those who are being knocked down on our roads, and we are not talking about them. Recently, the whole country was up in arms because we had about 50 people dead. Yes, we are not saying those people do not matter, but the ones and twos who are losing their lives day in, day out, their stories are not being told.
I'll come back to you. I'm not sure if I'm satisfied, with the response as to what a National Road Safety Commission can do specifically about the motorway. But Reverend Crab, let me take your thoughts on the video you just saw and the response we're having from the National Road Safety Commission. I know you work with them.
Sure. He's actually my boss.
Okay.
He's my boss. So whatever he's saying, I think is the truth. I don't need to add anything to it.
Let's start with the video that you saw about how people are dangerously crossing the motorway, how the motorway has become a thoroughfare. Human beings just crossing buildings on the sides of the motorway, etc.
You see, if I will speak as a reverend minister, I'll call a spade and speak the truth, because the Bible says, you buy the truth and you sell it not. We have all failed as a country to make sure that safety on our roads and highways is being kept or implemented. With what you see over there, it's a very bad attitude towards the roads, which pedestrians or drivers shouldn't even do at all. Why should you go, as I said, to go and park at an illegal place and incite or instigate pedestrians, or if you like, passengers, to cross wrongly to the other
That's
side?
because nobody will do anything to them. Nothing will happen to them when they do what's obviously wrong.
Must we always do it like that? If we keep on doing things like this, we wouldn't have finality in totality concerning road safety.
I sense your frustration, Reverend Crab, but the point is that it's a matter of, and I see where your point is going. It boils down to the attitude of the individual.
Attitude of individuals
but the point
or
is,
citizens.
and I've said this week a lot, that the reason why there are laws, the reason why we are paying state officials to enact laws to help us live is because people do not abide by the right. People will not necessarily live by the right attitudes. It is the law, and it is the things that how the state whip people into line. That is how come you get good attitudes. So in the UK, for example, you cannot park your car anywhere.
Good.
So you park your car at a particular place where you're not supposed to do so, you get a ticket and you pay. If you don't pay, you get points removed from your driving license. So there are consequences for your actions. So people stick to good behavior. But in Ghana, there are consequences to the action, but there is nobody to make sure that you get the consequences when you put in that action. Right. Don't you think that rather is the problem that we should begin to look at?
I think as a country, we need to be oriented again, obviously reoriented. There should be a national orientation with regards to road safety, so that the entire country would understand what you are going to receive, or the penalty of you flouting road safety rules when it comes to you not abiding the rules, because the road in itself is another world altogether. And I think when we understand and we abide by the rules that governs our roads, we are all going to be safe. It's about us at this particular moment. If we are not, and we are becoming adamant to rules and regulations that governs the road, then this is what we are going to see. Okay. I think the time has come for us as a nation to take it up, to champion it, so that they, like you use other countries, developing countries like the UK.
Developed countries. We are developing.
Developed countries like UK, the US. I have been saying it. We watch it in the movies and we see what happens
well,
to
also
people.
The movies, they can whitewash a lot of things.
Very good.
But
fine.
it does. I mean, there are good practices.
But we watch it. I have not been there before. I'm praying to be there. But what I watch, it tells me that there is that kind of decency on our roads and highways. And so why don't we do the same thing here? If we do or implement the same rules there, where if you park at wrong places, before you come, they have put a note in front of your windscreen, and then you know where to go and pay. You know that when you cross the red light, there's a camera that has captured you. The next day, your doorstep or your office, you go and pay. Or you do the wrong thing and you know what you pay. Ghanaians, we love paying, but when it becomes more, then we fear. So we'll do the right thing. So why don't we implement those things?
Okay.
We are in Ghana.
Okay.
Trust you, talk is cheap.
Talk is always cheap. I'll come to you so that we continue this discussion. But we've been talking to some drivers and passengers. They've been sharing their views on road safety with us.
In the years of 2019 and other years, it's Easter and Christmas. But fortunately for us, tomorrow begins the Easter festivities. And we're here at the Circle Bus Terminal to interact with drivers and passengers, because you do know that in times like this and in moments like this, there are lots of road safety campaigns ongoing. And basically that is why we're here. Let's find out from these drivers. What will they be doing on these roads? What are some of the measures they are taking in place to ensure that what we witnessed at Kingston Post some few weeks back will not happen again?
Now, our brand is just, two drivers. Inti no infants or brand there and Kayen. You say 2 drivers near Kita in Inti.
Offer 2 drivers.
2 drivers.
2 drivers.
Yeah.
Which at what point and the other driver no SSA?
Oh, you are a bit more so do lender door. And now Cocoa would be changing my driver from before.
Okay. So what he's saying is that he's been driving for more than 20 years, and the reason why he's not encountered any accidents is that he's very careful on the roads. He makes sure that he abides all the rules that governs driving, and so for that matter, he hasn't experienced. But he tells me that yes, indeed, the survey that drink driving, that fatigue, that overspeeding are some of the reasons, or in fact the topmost reasons why some of these buses are involved in accidents. It's actually very true. And to say, now, say, how do you manage? Because you say sometimes I'm complaining a lot of the time. Say sometimes the accidents is caused by the roads. What you're doing, and now we're differently from the other drivers.
Okay, but Nina Abotrena Unya Botra Butma Kudu from Jim.
Into what I say, most of the people now can't question, is it because they were not careful?
Oh, yes, sir. I can see how they see it in anytime. Now, no clue, I mean, Quandia MY.
Especially Sunyani and Akumase.
Oh, Quanina. Ghana, yes, young Quanina.
So he says that one of the major problems they have faced as drivers is the fact that the roads are terrible. In fact, he tells me that they are so bad that they have to be extra careful to be able to ply these roads and come back to Accra or go back to the Ashanti or the Bronga-Afu region safely.
Oh, Kumasi, Sunyani.
How long?
Oh, fan be 2 years. I had them by Hanche. Had them by Juma Hanche. 2 years, Penny and Bay Juma.
Almost
Kumasi Echo. See, I'm in Lodia, Momo Frocan, dear. Kumasi Echo.
A brown walkway. I know that the road is not as smooth as always. Now, as I walk, what is going through your mind in terms of your road safety?
Oh, course, and Rassi, maybe an enough from sir. In and out to cars not was overtaking, and your better, sir. Yes, Unya Butre, and this Ubenya problem, I want me and twas on coquine. Into Abutre, Unya Butre, and Yaminti, Ubakudu, the honor. Because it's occasion into Ubia to coin. Cars and also a quan also there, also be the passenger for it. Can't hold driver watch and no day near. But the old Bayer doom back could rust in Germany. I don't a day and sunny.
Rabbits way to one, and I saw
a honey Kumasi there back up. Yeah, could be a 2 no ye wa, Temale, Borga, Sano, Honuna, any Pamian, but honey Kumasi is Sunya, nipple back up and echo.
But since it's all bedding.
I had Kumasi there 4 hours and your ramps a walk on so near the idea 4 hours a day. Driving instruction yet. Who drive over 4 hours, sir? A second, send yes, a passenger car, a senka ujina. A passenger car, and say more than 4 hours a day. Never say, oh, before fro, a better car, and also the 2 hours now, so home. Sana, maybe minimum. And the crapper. What bra? Ubibia, I didn't know, but what bang, and so now you say, oh, man, if it's a general, and Nina Betcha margin, and I join the bra, and needing to me from margin. I join into Vinci, into breaking out Betty and Crabbe will say, what your brick. A bear will say, what your brick, but not breaking on 9 moon or breaking it to be 1 year and quenchia. You are almost out here, and so on. I join in you to be 1 annum, bread yet, media accident to Papa.
So that was Mr. Nicholas. So basically, he has been accepting the fact that indeed a lot of these road accidents that occur is due to fatigue, as they were saying, due to drunk driving, and it's also due to overspeeding. He says that he's going to Kumasi at the moment, and it's going to be just before our journey. He's not tired, he's energized, and hopefully he will get back to Kumasi and then come back safely with the passengers in this particular vehicle. But let me go and try and speak to a few of these passengers and see if they would want to speak to me. Hello, how are you? What's your name?
Juliet.
Juliet. Where are you going to?
Kumasi.
What's happening there? Is it the Easter celebration?
No, just a visit.
As you're going, I'm sure we've been talking so much about road safety. What are you looking out for? What are you hoping that this driver will do right from the other drivers?
Oh, what I'm hoping is that I will get to Kumasi safely.
If he's doing anything wrong, are you going to prompt him?
Yeah, why not?
What's your name again?
Juliet.
Juliet, thank you. Hi, I know you are reading, but let me just speak to you briefly. How's your name, please?
I'm Nanaja.
What?
Nanaja.
Why are you also going to Kumasi?
Yes, please.
What are you expecting as you're leaving?
I'm hoping we'll reach safely. Yeah.
So if you're going, what would you be expecting that the driver of this bus would be doing?
He should drive carefully. Yeah.
Are you also going for the Easter celebration?
Not really, but I think so. Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to try and speak to maybe 2-3 more of the passengers and then you can go. Hello. How are you? What's your name, please?
I'm Roberta.
You're going to Kumasi?
Yeah.
What's happening in Kumasi?
Oh, I'm just going for a visit.
For the Easter celebration?
Yeah.
What's so special about going back home? Is it like you're going back to the family, you just want to see them?
Yeah, we are just going to say hi to them.
So as you're going, what are you expecting? What are some of the things that you're expecting that this driver would obey as traffic rules, regulations?
Oh, he will obey the rules and regulations so that he sends us safely.
What are some of the things you're looking out for? Some of the things that you know that they do that you're looking out for that you don't want him to repeat?
Overspeeding. Oh, that's all.
That's all. How do you know if he's sleeping?
Oh, he does. Actually, they don't sleep.
But if he does anything wrong, you'll prompt him. What's your name, please?
Roberta.
All right. So you heard Roberta too. I'm seeing you. Can I speak to you for a moment, just for a brief moment? You're also going to Kumasi?
Yes, exactly.
Is it for the Easter celebration?
No, I'm based in Kumasi.
You're based in Kumasi. You're going back. Yes. I'm sure you've heard a lot about the road safety campaigns that have been ongoing.
Yes.
What are some of the things you'll be looking out for that this driver will do differently from whatever you've been hearing on the radio and on the TV?
Well, basically, he has to be patient and be watchful, you know. It shouldn't be always, it's my right. That is fun of drivers. I'm supposed to go. In case somebody is using your lane, you have to take time for the person to cross before you come.
What's your name, please?
Ricky.
Thank you very much. So you had Ricky. It appears that everybody in this bus is excited about this trip and they know what they're supposed to do right and what they're not supposed to do. But maybe let me speak finally to this man. Thank you very much. So what's your name?
Reverend Dr. Ignatius Sakon.
Are you also going to Kumasi?
Yes, please.
Is it for Easter?
No, I came to Accra this morning and I have to return.
So I'm also sure that you've been listening to radio and TV a lot about the road safety campaigns that have been ongoing for a while now. What are some of the things you'll be watching, you'll be critically looking at the driver not to do?
I expect that drivers wouldn't attend to calls. I expect that drivers would as well concentrate. And most importantly, in as much as passengers would want to get to their destinations early and on time, it is also always very proper because you are the professional. There might be a lot of drivers in here, but you have been given the mandate of taking the lives of these dear ones to their destination. So caution, professionalism, and then the word is watch. Yes.
So if you're watching and he's doing something wrong, what do you do?
I think that we would have to prompt him. Nicely, respectfully, let him know that what he's doing is not good for him and it's also not good for the passengers he's carrying.
So on that Reverend Doctor note, we continue our conversation here on how you can keep safe. So for these passengers who are in this bus, and I'm coming to you, and my panelists, they seem to be very much aware. It's either they're very much aware or they're aware because there's a camera and there's a reporter in the car who's trying to talk to them. But to what extent do you think that people are really alert to supporting drivers to actually finish the journeys when they start? You heard the lady there when she asked her, do you think he will sleep, the driver will sleep? She said, no, they don't sleep. So this is the confidence with which people get into these buses. But there is still a very big problem. We've seen people sleep all the time, which ended up the accident you referred to.
Sure.
We understand, we're told the driver was sleeping.
Yes. Sure.
So the question is, to what extent do you think that passengers today are much more alert, and how much more work can we add from the Road Safety Commission's perspective?
Okay, so I'll take you back a few years where we launched one of our campaigns, Be Alert.
Okay.
And we launched another one, Speak Up, Don't Get Killed. The Speak Up is for the passengers. Like one of I think the Reverend Minister said, you politely alert the driver when something is going wrong. Some of us talk harshly to drivers, and they also tend to react and ignore anything else we say. But when we approach it from the professional point of view, then the driver will also get to know. Because when we are talking about enforcement, we are not talking about those in uniform. No, we are talking about us. Enforcement starts with you, the individual yourself. If you are disciplined enough, that means you are enforcing the rules and regulations that you are aware of. We don't expect to come down to 50 kilometers an hour within settlements only when we see a policeman with a speed radar gun. Because we do that all the time. Drivers always come down to the speed limits when they see a policeman. But after that checkpoint, he's going 120, 130 kilometers per hour. You are not enforcing the rules. We cannot have a policeman every 100 or 50 meters on our highways. How many are they in the first place? So let us start with us. Passengers should know what they are supposed to know. The driver is supposed to slow down, not overtake in a curve. I was once on a passenger bus. One person was late and was actually encouraging the driver to overtake in a curve. Because she said she was late. But some of us had to step in. If not, I'm not sure I would have been sitting here by now. But if someone speaks up, some of the passengers will say, as I say, they will call me a witch or a wizard, so I'll rather keep quiet. You cannot survive with the masses. You speak up politely. Let the driver know what he is doing is wrong.
Okay.
Because most of our commercial bus drivers are males, and most of these metro bus drivers are females, and they are not getting involved in accidents. So there's this normal narrative that women are better drivers than males.
But of course, that's a fact.
That's a conversation for another day.
It's a fact.
As we move on from
here,
facts are sacred. But as we move on, we are all each other's keeper. Your brother is sleeping. It doesn't mean you should wait for him to wake up before he tells the driver to slow down. You are awake. Be the watchman for the other person. You could also fall asleep.
Be the watchman for the other person. I'm coming to you, Reverend, because you've been talking to a lot of drivers and trying to get them to do the right thing. Sure. Tell us a bit about the work that you've done so far with these drivers. How do you think it is working? And what are the gaps you've identified that perhaps you might need some support on, or the things that, the National Road Safety Commission is here?
Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much. That's a brilliant question. Or if, as a pastor, I would say that's a prophetic question.
Hey.
Yeah. On a more serious note, you will realize that, as he said, research or analysis that they did during this accident that happened at King Tampo, it proves that the driver was sleep driving. And that also was the fact that passengers refused to continuously prompt him, because it said that we realized that he was sleeping, and they kept quiet, because when they prompted him, he said that they should leave him, he can drive, and at the end of the day he crashed. That is what we have to do now. That's the gap I have seen over some time now. I think we have left the drivers to be on their own, as they said.
But how else can you apart from alerting the driver, you alert him once, you go back to sit in your chair?
That's what I'm saying. Like they said in Anasi's case, who watches the watchman? Now, passengers should know that they are partners with drivers. You are not a passenger. You are rather a partner, or you are an assistant driver. In this case, what I mean is that what the driver cannot see ahead, or what he might see as proper, you won't see it as proper, because you are on the majority. He is alone. And when he does any mistake whatsoever, all of you in that bus are at risk. Yeah. And so then you, as an assistant driver, when he does any wrongful overtaking, overspeed, you have to prompt him that for the sake of the people in the car, for the sake of the majority, please be 100% careful so we arrive safely. Now, when there's another passenger who is prompting the driver to overspeed because he is in a hurry, always know that he's an individual. But you in the bus, you are on the majority. So you tell the person, no, for the sake of the other person. What I'm trying to say is that passenger empowerment must be enforced now. Okay. Because when you go to these commercial driver station, you realize that they don't give any respect at all whatsoever. You see them.
Who doesn't give respect to who?
Commercial drivers.
They don't respect
they don't respect passengers
okay.
because they say that they have bought their car and you are coming to board it. Even if you have bought your car and I'm boarding it, I'm paying. And if I am the customer, you should know that I have the power.
So you see that there's passenger apathy.
That's it.
There. And is that the only gap you see there so that I can have the national road safety address?
That is the gap so far. I would ask my boss is here, is the planning officer for Greater Accra. I would rather propose that we should empower or do a campaign. I have decided to do it. If you go on my Facebook page, that is what I do now. I ask passengers to speak up. Secondly, we are also asking a toll-free number that will be given to passengers so that when a driver become reckless or drive wrongly, quickly you call that toll-free number. Passengers should be told, or should be empowered, that when you get to a barrier where there are police, whatever the driver has done, try and then tell the driver, the policeman, that this is how the driver is driving and I am at risk if the rest are not talking. You see, gentility has been the order of the day. Diplomacy has been the order of the day. And so I would think that we should be a bit compassionate in the sense that looking at the rate at which accident is increasing from January till April or till March, 635 people had died, 3,653 injuries. They are lying down there. I am the president for accident victims and I go around and I see the plight of accident victims. They don't call for it. Some don't even know how to access insurance. Some, their families don't know. They have not prepared themselves for it. Must we look at this thing to be on the increase? Besides, I guess
we should hear more of the accident victims. We should hear more of their story and we should share more of their story. And the Road Safety Commission, I think you should help them highlight the stories of these accident victims because they have lived it, and so they can tell you the stories, and that will perhaps sensitize people into doing what we want everybody to do.
There's a day set aside by the UN. That's the Road Traffic Crash Victims Day. Comes off every third Sunday in the month of November, where we remember all road traffic crash victims.
So the whole year we remember them once.
Yeah, that's the UN Day.
Yeah, I mean, can we do? Isn't there something that the Road Safety Commission can do?
We can have short documentaries if we have media coming on board. Of course, now we have support from GIBA and some media houses like JoyNews is doing now. At least we are not paying as much as we have to, because you're also offsetting some of these things we are doing. So if we have media coming on board, so we can have short documentaries of these victims telling their stories. Because it got to a time we were using the pictures of these crashes and we had a backlash. People were telling us it was too bloody.
It was.
And it wasn't too pleasant for everyone to look at.
But when you hear the story, it carries emotions, and then you can carry the people
we
along.
were also looking at the picturesque side of things, where you see it and you know that, okay, this is what can happen to me. But people were not ready to look at these pictures, so we had to take them off the media. So now we can't really showcase all these things, but I'm sure with the media coming on board, we can have some short documentaries from these victims, play them time and again. People will get to hear stories, see some images, and I'm sure, like I said, enforcement starts with each and every one of us, and we can all start doing the same thing.
Well, we hope that we've been able to remind you. The whole of this week we've been telling you about road safety. It is our own road safety campaign initiative. We're hoping that this will help you stay safe during Easter. I've been having this conversation with Reverend Sybil Crabb. He's a road safety advocate and president of the Accident Victim Support Ghana Group. Thank you very much for coming, Reverend Crabb. Also here is Victor Kojo-Bilson. Victor is a planning officer at the National Road Safety Commission. They also are partners there as far as road safety in the campaign is concerned.